you so much for being here. I am Alana Rusnick. I am an author and publisher. We are here tonight to celebrate the launch of my new novel, Black Bird, which is the third book in the Fallmore Chronicles series. I am thrilled that you have given up your evening to spend some time with me, and we are going to chat a bit about the book. I'm going to do a reading. I'm going to share some parts about my journey, which has been a struggle. This has been a tough book for me to get through, and I am so excited that we're finally at the point where I can push it out of the nest into your hands. COVID-19 has forced authors all around the world to rethink the way they market and the way they launch, which is why we are here tonight. When I launched my first book, The Church in the Wildwood, back in 2017, we had a beautiful launch party at a cafe, and it was so fun and so special to be in a room full of people who were there to help me celebrate. And even though I was terrified to get up and speak to them.
So I'm going to do a little reading because I don't want to public speak anymore, because this is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever had to do.
It was so empowering and so affirming. I'm grieving the fact that I can't do that this time. I had actually already reached out to a venue, arrangements were being made, and then of course, everything was stripped away, but that's okay. We are doing the best that we can, and I am so happy that you're here to help me do that. It is November 7th, and that date was not chosen by accident. I long ago decided that I wanted to do the launch party for Black Bird on November 7th because that is Joni Mitchell's birthday. It is actually her 77th birthday, and we are going to celebrate her a little bit in the midst of this because Joni plays a very important role in this story. She's very important to one of the characters, and I didn't want this day to pass without giving her the kudos that she deserves. Her album Turbulent Indigo is actually very important to the story, to one of the characters. Look at that old-fashioned cassette. This is actually part of the giveaway. You will get one of these if you win. I don't know if you have a tape deck or not that you can play it in, but it's still a cool little keepsake, especially if you connect to the story. So later on tonight, we're going to sing happy birthday to Joni, so I hope you'll join me for that. Before the pandemic, I was running a weekly children's writers cafe, which was really challenging, really rewarding. But then lockdown happened, and of course we couldn't meet anymore. So I carried things on through the rest of winter and spring, meeting with the kids on Zoom, which was quite chaotic, but still really kind of special. So leading up to this launch, I thought it would be really fun to invite some of those kids into conversation about my new book, and only a couple of them were available to do it, but we did have a fun chat about writing and my book and some of the process. They had some great questions, so I'm going to sprinkle some of that content throughout tonight, so you're not just looking at me the whole time. And anytime you hear this little stinger, Kid Chat, that means we're inviting the kids in. Black Bird is the third title in the Fallmore Chronicles series. Fallmore is a small town based on my own small town of Durham. So if you're familiar with the town, you will recognize different landmarks if you're looking for them. Kid Chat.
If you were going to make a movie with the book, how would it be in theory?
Well, I think it would be kind of a quiet movie and slow.
Okay.
The story takes place in a small town that I based on Durham. So, Aurora, you really know Durham. And
Yeah.
Paige, you've been to Durham lots. So,
Yes.
so picture a movie set in a small town like that. So there's a big hill with a church on the top and the library, and some of the stores are even in the book, but I've changed names and stuff.
Yeah.
So you'd see stuff like that. When you guys write stories, do you get inspiration from the areas around you?
When I write my stories, I get inspiration from other stories and incorporate it into my own way.
Yeah. I think that every story that we make up is influenced by stuff all around us. So it could be movies we saw, books we read, it could be our own town, it could be people that we meet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought just for fun, I would give you a little glimpse at what a day in the life of a writer looks like. And I'm going to warn you right now, it is not glamorous. But if you have ever wondered where I write or what my daily process looks like on the days that I can just focus on writing, now's your chance. Here it is.
A typical writing day for me begins in the kitchen with the most important meal of the day, my coffee. I have a subscription to Kicking Horse Kick-Ass Coffee Beans, and it's the right kind of motivation I need to get my morning going. My home office is tucked away in a tiny 8x10 room, but I've made it cozy and it's where the magic happens and where I love to work. I like to begin with a bit of reading to stretch my brain. I'm currently reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and I'm reading business leadership books, not because they're super fun, but to help motivate my pursuit of pushing my publishing company forward. After that, I'll take some time to look over my goals and make a plan for the day. I might spend a little time on social media and think of some marketing strategies. And then it's time to really get to work. And when the hair goes up, you know I mean business. I will write, I will brainstorm, I'll recheck my lists, I will plot, I will strategize, and I will do a whole lot of this. And somehow, in the midst of all of this, words happen and a book gets written. It's riveting stuff, my friends.
The journey that Black Bird has taken me on has not been an easy one. It has been full of stops and starts. Thank you to all of you who have put the pressure on me and have been asking, when is it coming out? Because that was real motivation for me, knowing that people were waiting. And I know I still took longer than I should have, but thank you for your patience.
Kid chat.
This one took me a long time to write. I started this one in 2011.
Wow.
Whoa.
What's the longest it's ever taken you guys to write a story?
A day.
A day. That's amazing.
I've only written comics, and those are short ones.
How about you, Paige? How long has it taken you to write a story before?
Well, I'm writing a story right now, and it's been taking me like all quarantine and not finished.
And you know what? That's okay, because it took me 9 years to write my book.
So when I was 2, you started this book.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Can you imagine working on the same story for that long?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
You think it gets boring?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I really believe in allowing a story to take the lead. So when I sat down to initially begin this novel, I had no idea where it was going to take me. And then when I started to realize where it was going, I didn't want to go there. And so that's part of the reason it took so long to get through this. Black Bird deals with some really heavy topics like abuse and neglect and poverty and homelessness and addiction. I just didn't want to go into those dark places, but the story had other ideas and it pushed me there as much as I fought. I feel like I fought the whole way, And then when the Me Too movement happened, I stopped because I was afraid. I was afraid about the content of my book and how it would be received. So I just stopped writing it. I just let it sit because I thought Me Too took away my permission to tell that story. And it wasn't until Jonah Hill knocked some sense into me. Thank you, Jonah. I watched him on a clip from a daytime talk show where he was being interviewed about his writing and directorial debut with the movie Mid-90s. And the host was challenging him because his movie is set in the 90s and is full of language and behavior that today society fully frowns upon, even though those of us who grew up in the 90s know that that was just normal. It's not politically correct. People are going to be offended when they see it. And his response to the host was so powerful. He said, "My job is to present a palette and not to judge it. That's for the audience to do." So what he's saying is that he is going to present a story as true to the time it's set as he can. That's his whole job, is just to tell an honest story. And the freedom I found in that statement that he made, it just helped me push down all the walls I had built up, and it helped me to move forward. Because it's true, my job as a writer is not to tell you what to think. It's to present a real situation, to write something as real as I can, and then to allow you to navigate that on your own. You will be informed by your own experiences, your own background, your own beliefs, and that's totally okay. It's not my job to tell you how to feel about the behavior of a character. That's all on you. So big thanks to Jonah for helping me get over that hurdle and to push through and carry on.
Kid Chat.
So I want you guys to tell me why you think it's important that we tell stories and that we have books.
So we don't rot our brains on TV.
That's a good answer. Yeah. What else?
So we can use our imagination and be intrigued and to write our own.
Yeah. Be inspired.
Reading helps us learn.
Yeah. You're exercising your brain, right? Do you think that reading is an important part of your day?
Well, yeah, because it makes me tired, so I fall asleep.
Okay. Nice. What about you, Paige? Is reading an important part of your day?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If reading didn't exist, I would probably be out of my mind already from quarantine.
So it's a good escape?
Yes, it's calming and I can leave this world behind.
Right.
Go to a
I wouldn't be surprised if someday they make like a book or a movie about this.
They
Because
probably
it's like
will.
chaos so far. And people like books and movies about chaos.
They
So,
do. Would you watch that movie?
probably.
Would you read that book?
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. Would you read the book first before you watch the movie?
Probably.
Yeah.
That's how it should always be.
What?
It should always be read the book before the movie.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you change the movie so much, like a lot of the books.
Mm-hmm. I have no doubt that this book will ignite some conversation. It might make some people angry. It may spark some debate. That's all okay. And I think that's actually the mark of a job well done. My hope is that you are challenged by this book, that maybe you'll come away with a bit of a less black and white view of the world, that you will understand that everyone has a story and there's context behind every action. Not that that context excuses anything, but it does bridge a path to understanding and to just viewing the world with a more empathetic eye. And ultimately, I hope the message of Black Bird shines through, which really is a message of hope and redemption. So don't give up on it if you feel like it's too heavy in the beginning, because trust me, things do come back around.
Kid chat.
Yes, Paige?
How would you publish a book on your website?
Well, I didn't publish it on my website. I published it through my publishing company, which means I have to pay somebody else to print it up for me. So that's what this is like the first printed copy. See how it has this little banner on it? That means this is just like an early pretend copy, not a real one. So, and see all these tabs in here? That's where I found mistakes in it. So I'm going to get the mistakes fixed. And then we're going to print a whole bunch of them. And then your moms can buy them.
I want to read it.
You want to, well, you can read it when you're older. You can't read it yet. Is that no fair?
Oh, it's chill. It's chill.
It's chill? What do you mean by that?
Cool.
All right. Good. You'll be able to read it when you're older.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what book launch would be complete without a little reading from the book? So I'm actually going to share with you the prologue, which is the very beginning of the book, and it just helps to set the stage. It gives some hints to what's coming, and it introduces a couple of the main characters. Mother had a dress made of sunshine, her legs and arms shooting out from it like pale rays, her smile as bright and pretty as any of the girls I've seen on the cover of those magazines they sell down at the drugstore. The picture is faded now, one big crease erasing the color down the center, like the big bad world couldn't handle a thing so pure. I knew it was my own fault it looked so worn, and that she was now barely a shadow of the girl once captured there, as if my fingers couldn't help but predict her future upon her image. Mother stopped being young at the moment of my conception. I can't stop touching it. The picture whispers to me of gentler times. The edges are soft, pulling apart, revealing the secret that one thing isn't one thing. It is layers and layers of many things. They are soft like a gum wrapper I've worried with my fingers for long, lonely hours. Things like that, they turn to cotton if you touch them enough. I hang on to gum and all its trappings as long as I can because it's so rare I ever get such a treat. Sometimes I work a wrapper until it fades to nothing between my fingers, disappearing into my skin. Perhaps one day I'll turn into the very paper I'm absorbing. Maybe someone new will write a story on my skin to erase the one I wear already. Does touch make a person weak? That's something people say, isn't it? I lost myself in their arms. I've read that in books, romance novels I've borrowed from the library. It makes sense to me because I see it happening with Mother's photograph. The more of her image that fades into my skin, the more of her living self turns to gray. Still, I don't stop. So what does that make me? Mother named me Bird. I think she thought I could fly her out of this mess of her life. Instead, she locked me in the cage with her and we both forgot our song. I want to be a goldfinch, clad in sunny decadence with a little shadow along my wingtips to keep me honest. I want my call to be a song that reaches into the places where winter ends, swooping hope along my tail feathers as I tempt heaven with my freedom. Stop your cawing, Mother would say. You're no goldfinch. You've got a bit of crow in you, though. I've seen crows. I know what they do. I see the way they hop to dead things on the road and pick at the flesh. Mother doesn't realize what she's saying, but I know. I know she's the dead thing, and I'm the black thing at her side. I long to be in the trees with a song in my breast, but she has written my story, and I stay where she puts me. I'm desperate for her love, but I'm sure she's forgotten how. It's packed up in a box of her childish things, there with the yellow dress and the tanned arms without their bruises. She has some motions her body takes her through that could be mistaken for kindness, but I know better because she's always nicest after she's taken her medicine. As the plunger sinks, her eyes soften, and she nearly loves me for a moment, brushing my hair idly, her broken fingernails catching in its gold, whispering beneath her breath about how Joni Mitchell is the only person who will ever truly understand her. It bruises her arm, there where she sticks herself with happily ever after. There where a silver line pushes into the midnight blue, beneath skin so white and pale it seems to glow like a ghost with its own preternatural light. I know the truth of it. I know her lies. I know her brokenness. I know she's like a mirror smashed by an angry fist, and no matter how long I try and how careful I am, and how perfectly I fit those pieces back together, the reflection will always be distorted and cracked. A weak remembrance of the beauty she once was, walking through the park in a dress made of sunshine. So that's a little taste from the opening, and I really hope that you are inspired to read the rest.
Kid Chat.
If you were going to make your book into a video game, how would it be?
Oh, there's a lot of moving in my book. So people moving to different places to live.
Okay.
So I wonder if it could be like you choose where you want to live and you have to set up your new apartment. Would that be weird?
Well, there's a lot of weirder games out there,
Yes,
and some of them are hits, and some of them aren't.
right. I think it'd be kind of fun to set up an apartment.
Yeah.
So I have characters that live in a chicken shed and in a storage unit and in an apartment over a tobacco store
Okay.
and a parsonage. Do you know what a parsonage is?
No.
It's like a house that goes along with a church where a pastor and his family might live.
Okay.
And I have someone lives in a camper van. So lots of weird places to live. So I think the game would be about finding a place to live.
Okay.
Out of all those options, where would you want to live?
Probably.
Good.
Camp van.
The camper van. What are we at?
Camper.
Camper. Yeah, we're all hippies at heart, right? Nice.
Well, I just don't want to live in a chicken shed.
I wouldn't really want to live in an apartment over a tobacco store.
I know. It'd probably smell, right?
Yeah.
And there's someone else who lives over a factory, so they would hear all the factory noises.
Oh.
And there's a couple people who live in a normal house.
Normal house.
But one of the houses is falling apart.
Not that one.
With my first novel, I was invited to join in with a couple of book clubs, and it was really fun to sit in a room full of people who had read my work, who had questions, who were talking about characters like they were real people. There's something really magical about that, and they were really special experiences, and I would love to recreate that again with Black Bird. So if you are a book club and are interested in taking on this novel, please reach out, because I can offer bulk discounts for book club book purchases. And I'd also love to chat with you about a way I can visit your club. Obviously, we can't do that in person right now, but I'm very open to the idea of us pulling something together on Zoom. I would love to come and answer your questions and just hang out with you for a little bit and talk books. In the back of Black Bird, you will actually find book club questions that I have come up with as a jumping off point for your group, if you are so inclined. Of course, organic conversation is totally fine too, but some groups I know struggle to really know how to get the conversation going. So there are some starting points there. And you can also find those on the Black Bird website if you need them.
Alana,
Yes.
if you were going to continue the series, what other characters would you add?
Well, there's a whole part of the series mostly in the first book, that talks about a place called Harridan Bluffs, which is an old ski resort that some people took over and live in. And there's a lot of children and a lot of women. And I think I would like to do a story about that if I ever wanted to add another book to the series.
Okay.
But that would be like stuff that happened in the 1960s.
I do not want Black Bird to be the last book you see from me, and I do have a lot of ideas for new stories, new paths I can go down. But what I don't have a lot of is time. When you are juggling family and jobs and all the other things that I have my finger in, there's not a lot of time left over for writing. And I would love to change that. So I have become aware of an Ontario Arts Grant that I could be eligible for, but I have to sell 400 books. So that's where your help comes in. By buying a book, you are helping me get closer to that 400 book threshold, which makes me eligible for the grant, which means I would be able to fund my own leave from work so I could take some focused time and churn something out much quicker than this one. 9 years is not acceptable if you want to call yourself a novelist, as far as I'm concerned. So I would love to really churn out some great stuff for you. And I intend my next one to not be so heavy. I am actually quite excited about a dystopian YA idea that I have been toying with, and you may roll your eyes at that, but there is some good to be said for writing a genre piece. Not only does it reach new readers, but it stretches my own writing muscles, and both of those are great things. So if you want to see that happen, one great way you can help make that reality is by buying a book. So please purchase through the website, purchase through Amazon, purchase a Kindle version. It all counts.
Kid Chat.
If you made a merch design, what would it be?
A merch design. So I think I would do things with birds, and I would also want to do things with tattoos. What do you guys think about tattoos?
Oh, my aunt is giving tattoos.
I know.
I'm just waiting till I'm old enough to get one.
What would you get?
Probably a snake.
You're crazy.
I think tattoos just are painful. They look painful. They sound painful.
So you wouldn't get one?
No.
No. There are lots of tattoos in my book. But I've never had one.
Tattoos are cool in theory, but literally I feel like they would hurt. Like getting permanent ink in your skin and getting needles.
Yeah.
That's apparently how they do it. I'll just stick with the temporary tattoos that you put on with water.
All right. But Aurora, you're not afraid of the needle?
No.
No. Have you watched someone get a tattoo?
Yeah, my Uncle Mark, my mom, my dad, a little bit.
Oh dear, Brennan.
If you watched the Google Translate videos that I have been posting in the few weeks leading up to this launch, you would have heard some music in the background of those videos. And I did share then that music was from a song that I wrote for Black Bird, actually called Birdsong. It is a song I wrote during one of the many dry spells of writing Black Bird. And at one point I had thought Bird actually played guitar and was going to do an open mic night in the diner. And when you read the book, you will realize how ridiculous that idea was. And it was killed very quickly, but not before I wrote the song that Bird would sing. So it gets to have a life of its own this way. I think I'll include the lyrics on the screen so you kind of get a sense of the story behind it. I'm just going to leave you with that.
Take my feathers and stuff your pillows. I'll never fly with you standing on my wings. Mama told me to guard it tightly, so guide me softly into this good night. You were one of the good ones, said I could fly anywhere that I want, said I was one of the good ones, but I'm not. This world with bruises on its apathy, with splinters in its sympathy, it makes me wanna scream out loud. The rooftop is my own symphony. The stars were made to speak to me. The secrets are for lies. You were one of the good ones, said I could fly anywhere that I want, said I was one of the good ones, but I'm not. Don't try to stop me, I'm already gone. Don't try to define my enemy, his heart is my song. Take my feathers and stuff your pillow. I'll never fly with you standing on my wings. You were one of the good ones, said I could fly anywhere that I want, said I was one of the good ones, but I'm not. Mama told me to guard it tightly, so guide me softly into this good night. Kid chat.
Do you guys know who Joni Mitchell is?
Nope.
Okay, she's a Canadian singer and songwriter, and she was really famous in the 70s. And her music and her writing and stuff is really important in my book that I'm putting out. So I'm having my launch party for the book on her birthday.
Is she an author?
She wrote poems, but she's a singer.
Poem?
She has lots of albums. Happy birthday, Joni Mitchell.
Happy birthday, Joni Mitchell.
I would love if all of you at home would sing with me. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Joni Mitchell.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. It means a lot that you gave up some time just to learn a little bit about the book. Thank you for helping me push this book out of the nest, and I sure hope that you catch a copy for yourself. You can order from my website for a signed copy. You can order directly from Amazon, which could save you shipping fees if you are a Prime member, or if you have other items in your cart to get up over that threshold for free shipping. You could also order a Kindle version, which lets you read it on your device with the free Kindle app. And it is a cheaper way to enjoy the book, but I still do make royalty from there, and those book sales, all book sales, will count towards that goal, that base goal of 400 to be eligible for that arts grant. So I appreciate your generosity so much. After you have read Black Bird, I would really appreciate it if you took a moment to leave a review on Amazon, Goodreads, your own blog. Any way you can help me spread the word about this book is very helpful. Ask your library for it, tell your friends, give them as Christmas presents. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your ongoing support. Thank you for bugging me to get this book written. So many of you have reached out and, been annoyed that it's taken me so long. So thank you. Keep doing that. That does help. Please enjoy the rest of your night. And let me know if you want me to come to your book club. Thanks, guys.
Mama told me to